Ambassador Zethra stood in the great hall of the Galactic Council. Her blue skin was pale with fear. Her hands shook as she held the datapad that contained the death of her people. The hall was full of aliens from dozens of worlds. They all looked down at her from their floating chairs. Some had fur, some had scales, some looked like giant insects. All of them were quiet as she began to speak. "The Vex swarm has taken 17 of our worlds," she said. Her voice was small in the huge room. "They eat everything. Our people, our cities, our trees. They leave nothing behind but empty rock." The council members shifted in their seats. Everyone knew about the Vex. They were the nightmare that parents told their children about. They were death itself moving between the stars. "We have tried to fight them," Zethra continued. "Our best ships cannot hurt them. Our strongest shields break in minutes. They adapt to everything we throw at them. In 6 months they will reach our home world. In 7 months the Kalari people will be gone forever." A tall alien with 4 arms spoke up. "The Vex cannot be fought. Every species that has tried has died. You must run. Find a new world far from here." "Where can we run?" Zethra asked. "They have eaten 47 civilizations in the past 10 years. They grow stronger with each world they take. Soon there will be nowhere left to hide." An alien that looked like a walking tree made a sound like wind through leaves. "The Vex are a force of nature. You cannot fight a hurricane. You cannot bargain with an earthquake. You can only hope to survive." "Then we are all dead," Zethra said. "If not today, then tomorrow. If not my people, then yours. The Vex will not stop until they have eaten the galaxy." The room was silent. Everyone knew she was right. The Vex swarm grew bigger with each world they consumed. They turned planets into shipbuilding factories. They used entire populations as food for their war machines. The council leader, an ancient being with silver skin, spoke slowly. "What do you want from us?" "Help," Zethra said. "Military aid, ships, weapons, soldiers, anything that might give us a chance to fight back." "We have no ships that can hurt the Vex," the silver alien said. "We have no weapons they cannot adapt to. We have no soldiers brave enough to face them." "Then expand the council," Zethra said. "Find new species. Find someone who can help us." The 4-armed alien laughed. It was not a happy sound. "There are no new species with the power to fight the Vex. The galaxy has been mapped. Every world that can build ships already sits on this council." "Not every world," said a voice from the back of the room. Everyone turned to look. A small gray alien with big eyes was standing up. His people were scouts and explorers. They traveled to the far edges of known space. "Explain," the council leader said. 3 months ago, my ship found something strange," the gray alien said. "Radio signals from an unknown species. They come from a world far from any trade routes. A death world." The room filled with whispers. Death worlds were planets where life was so hard that most species could never survive. The gravity was too strong. The weather was too harsh. The animals were too dangerous. "What kind of species lives on a death world?" asked the tree-like alien. "A strong one," the gray alien replied. "Their radio signals suggest they have nuclear weapons. They have spaceflight. They fight wars with each other for practice. They might be the kind of species that could fight the Vex." Zethra felt hope for the first time in months. "Can you contact them?" "I have been trying," the gray alien said, "but they do not answer. Maybe they do not trust strange signals from space." "Keep trying," the council leader said. "If there is a species that can help fight the Vex, we must find them." 2 weeks later, Captain Jake Morrison was eating breakfast on his ship when the alarm went off. He was patrolling the outer edge of the solar system, watching for asteroids that might threaten Earth. "Sir," said his communication officer, Lieutenant Amy Clark, "we are getting a strange signal. It is not from Earth or any of our colonies." Morrison put down his coffee. "What kind of signal?" "It is a first contact protocol, sir. Someone is trying to talk to us. The signal is coming from outside the solar system." Morrison felt his heart speed up. This was it. The moment humanity had been waiting for. First contact with aliens. Can you decode it? Working on it, sir. It seems to be some kind of universal language program. They are trying to teach us how to understand them. Morrison called his captain. Within an hour, Admiral Lisa Grant was on the line from Earth. Jake, this is big, she said. The president wants to know everything. What do they want? Still working on that, ma'am. But Lieutenant Clark thinks she has figured out part of their message. Amy looked up from her computer. Admiral, they are asking for help. Military help. They say there is something called the Vex swarm that is killing their people. Grant was quiet for a long moment. A military request. They want us to fight in their war. Yes, ma'am. But they are offering something in return. Technology, knowledge, membership in something called the Galactic Council. A galactic government? It looks that way. There are dozens of alien species working together, and they want humanity to join them. Morrison looked at the star charts on his screen. Somewhere out there, aliens were fighting and dying. They had reached across space to ask for help from a species they had never met. What do you think, Jake? Grant asked. Morrison thought about Earth, about the wars they had fought, about the weapons they had built, about the lessons they had learned in blood and fire. Admiral, if there are people out there who need help, we should help them. That is what humans do. Even if it means war, especially if it means war. We are good at war. Grant made her decision. Send a reply. Tell them we got their message. Tell them help is coming. Morrison watched Amy send the signal into space. In a few hours, it would reach the aliens who had called for help. Soon, humanity would take its first step into a larger universe. He had no idea that this step would lead to the complete destruction of the most dangerous species in the galaxy. He did not know that humans would soon earn a reputation as the most feared warriors in known space. All he knew was that someone needed help, and humans never turned their back on those in need. The Vex swarm had been hunting prey for millions of years. Soon they would learn what it was like to become the hunted. The human fleet arrived at Kalari Space 3 weeks later. Admiral Lisa Grant commanded 12 of Earth's best warships. They were dark and angular, built for war. Next to the graceful Kalari vessels, they looked like weapons floating in space. Captain Jake Morrison piloted his shuttle down to Kalari Prime. The planet was beautiful. Crystal cities reached toward the sky like frozen music. But huge metal walls surrounded every city. Fear had changed this world. Morrison brought 2 people with him. Dr. Helen Ross was Earth's best scientist for studying alien life. Colonel Rick Stone was a soldier who had fought in every major war of the past 20 years. The Kalari delegation waited for them in the capital city. Ambassador Zethra looked older than she had in the video messages. General Veltar, the military commander, stood beside her. His crystal skin showed dark stress patterns. Welcome to Kalari Prime, Zethra said through a translation device. We cannot express how grateful we are that you answered our call. Morrison shook her hand carefully. Kalari bones were more fragile than human bones. We came as soon as we could. We want to help. Your ships are interesting, General Veltar said. He was looking at the human fleet through a large window. They are very different from ours. We build them for different purposes, Colonel Stone replied. What can you tell us about the Vex swarm? Veltar led them to a war room filled with holographic displays. The images showed the slow death of the Kalari civilization. System after system had fallen. Red markers showed where Vex fleets were moving. They appeared 10 years ago, Veltar explained. We do not know where they came from. They attack without warning. They consume everything living on a planet. Then they move to the next world. Dr. Ross studied the biological data. These creatures are impressive. They can adapt their bodies to resist different weapons. They work together like a hive mind. How do you usually fight them? We try to evacuate our people before they arrive, Zethra said sadly. Our weapons do little damage. Our shields fail quickly. We have lost every battle we have fought. Colonel Stone frowned. Every battle? You have never won even once? Never, Veltar admitted. The Vex adapt to our tactics within hours. They learn from each engagement. They become stronger. Morrison walked to the display showing Vex ship designs. The alien vessels were organic, grown rather than built. They looked like giant insects or sea creatures. They were covered in bioarmor that could change and adapt. "What is your normal battle strategy?" Morrison asked. "We form defensive lines," Veltar said proudly. "Our ships work together in perfect harmony. We use precision beam weapons and energy shields. We try to minimize casualties and protect civilian populations." Dr. Ross and Colonel Stone looked at each other. Stone cleared his throat. "General, with respect, you fight like you are conducting an orchestra. The Vex fight like a pack of wolves." "I do not understand," Veltar said. "You fight beautifully," Morrison explained. "You fight with honor and precision. But the Vex fight to kill everything. They do not care about honor. They only care about winning." "But surely there must be rules of war," Zethra said. "Limits on what weapons can be used. Protection for non-combatants." Colonel Stone laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Ma'am, the Vex are trying to make your entire species extinct. Rules do not apply when someone is trying to wipe you out completely." Dr. Ross was still studying the biological data. "I have some good news. The Vex have weaknesses. They rely on their ability to adapt. But adaptation takes time. If you hit them with something completely unexpected, they cannot respond fast enough." "What do you mean?" Veltar asked. "They have never faced a predator species before," Stone explained. "Every species they have fought has been prey. They fight defensively. They try to minimize damage. The Vex have learned to expect that." "Humans are different," Morrison said quietly. "We evolved as hunters. We know how to kill things that are trying to kill us." The next 3 days were busy. Human specialists studied every piece of Kalari technology. They analyzed every Vex battle. Recording. They learned everything they could about both species. Dr. Ross worked with Kalari scientists. "Your weapons are designed to be precise and efficient," she explained. "You try to disable enemy ships without destroying them completely. The Vex probably see this as weakness." "Are you suggesting we should destroy them completely?" asked Dr. Talvin, the Kalari chief scientist. "I am suggesting you should fight like your species depends on it," Ross replied. "Because it does." Colonel Stone worked with Kalari military officers. He showed them human battle tactics. The Kalari were horrified. "You target their supply lines first?" General Veltar asked. "You attack their ability to reproduce? You use weapons designed to cause fear and confusion?" "We use whatever works," Stone said simply. "The goal is to win. Everything else is secondary." "But what about honor? What about the rules of civilized warfare?" "General, civilized warfare is an oxymoron. War is about survival. You can be honorable after you win." Meanwhile, Morrison was learning about Galactic Council politics. The other species were watching the human response carefully. Some were hopeful, others were afraid. "Many council members are concerned," Zethra admitted privately. "Your species seems very aggressive. Your ships look like weapons. Your soldiers talk about war like they enjoy it." "We do not enjoy war," Morrison said, "but we are very good at it. Our planet is dangerous. Everything on Earth is trying to kill everything else. We learned to fight or die. The Council fears that humanity might become a threat to other species." Morrison was quiet for a moment. "Ambassador, the Vex are already a threat to every species in the galaxy. Right now, we are your best hope of stopping them. After we deal with the Vex, we can discuss what kind of neighbors we will be." On the 3rd day, Admiral Grant arrived on the planet. She met with the human team in private. "What is your assessment?" she asked. "The Kalari are good people," Morrison said, "but they have never been in a real war. They fight like they are playing a game with rules. The Vex fight like they are hungry." "Can we help them?" Dr. Ross nodded. "The Vex have biological advantages, but they also have weaknesses. They have never faced weapons designed specifically to kill them. They have never met a species that fights dirtier than they do." "What do you recommend?" Grant asked. Colonel Stone smiled for the first time since arriving. "Admiral, I recommend we show the galaxy what happens when you threaten a death world. Species. Are you confident we can win? Ma'am? The Vex think they are the apex predator in this galaxy. They are about to learn that humans have been killing apex predators since we lived in caves. Grant made her decision. Send word back to Earth. I want every available ship and every Marine we can spare. We are going to war. Morrison looked out at the crystal city beyond the window. Soon, this beautiful world would be safe. The Vex had spent millions of years hunting prey species. They had never met true predators before. That was about to change. The Kalari had called for help. Deathworlders had answered. The galaxy was about to learn what that meant. Admiral Lisa Grant stood on the bridge of her flagship, the USS Liberty. Around her, 24 human warships waited in formation. The Kalari had never seen a fleet like this. Every ship was built for one purpose: destroying enemies completely. Admiral, reported Captain Amy Chen from the destroyer Vengeance. We have located a Vex fleet consuming the mining colony in the Theta system. The Kalari evacuated 3 days ago. Perfect, Grant replied. Time to introduce ourselves properly. The human fleet jumped to hyperspace. They arrived at the edge of the Theta system within hours. Ahead of them, 5 massive Vex bioships were slowly eating the planet. Each ship was the size of a city, covered in organic armor that shifted and moved like living skin. Captain Chen studied her tactical display. The Vex ships looked like giant sea creatures crossed with insects. They had tentacles for grabbing prey and acid sacs for dissolving metal. They were perfectly designed for consuming civilizations. They have never seen ships like ours, said Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez, Chen's weapons officer. Look at their formation. They are not even trying to defend themselves. The Vex bioships had spread out across the planet like they were feeding. Their sensors had detected the human fleet, but they showed no concern. Every species they had ever met ran from them or died quickly. All ships, this is Admiral Grant, came the voice over the communication system. Today we teach the galaxy what happens when you threaten innocent people. Today we show these creatures what real predators look like. Captain Chen smiled. Her ship was loaded with weapons the Vex had never imagined. Nuclear missiles, kinetic, kill vehicles, high explosive torpedoes. The Vex bioarmor was designed to absorb energy weapons. It had no defense against old-fashioned explosives. Target the largest bioship, Chen ordered. Fire everything. The USS Vengeance launched 12 nuclear-tipped missiles at once. The Vex ship tried to adapt its armor to absorb the energy, but nuclear weapons did not work like the beam weapons the Kalari used. They did not slowly burn through armor. They vaporized everything within a kilometer. The first Vex bioship died in a ball of nuclear fire. Its organic hull burst apart like a rotten fruit. Acid blood sprayed across space in all directions. The other Vex ships suddenly came alert. Their bioarmor began changing rapidly. New defensive structures grew across their hulls. They had learned that these new enemies used explosive weapons, but the humans had more surprises. Captain Steve Miller, commanding the cruiser Defiance, launched the second wave of attack. Hundreds of small drones swarmed toward the Vex ships. Each drone was the size of a car and moved faster than anything the Vex had seen. "What are those?" asked a Kalari observer aboard the Liberty. "Hunter killers," Grant explained. "Each one is programmed to find the ship's weak points and explode. We do not fight fair." The Vex tried to shoot down the drones with bioweapons that fired acid globs. They destroyed many of the small attackers, but dozens got through. The drones dove deep into the Vex ship's organic structures, seeking their reproductive organs. Explosions bloomed throughout the second bioship. It began to collapse from within as the drones found their targets. The Vex had never faced an enemy that specifically targeted their ability to make more of themselves. The remaining 3 bioships began to retreat. They had consumed dozens of civilizations, but they had never met enemies this ruthless. Their evolutionary instincts were telling them to run. "Oh no," Colonel Rick Stone said from the bridge of the Liberty. "They are not getting away." Captain Janet Foster, commanding the battleship Retribution, moved to block the Vex escape route. Her ship was the largest in the human fleet, armed with weapons that could crack planets. "Target their engines," Foster ordered. "I want them dead." In space, the Retribution fired a single massive kinetic projectile. It was a tungsten rod the size of a telephone pole, accelerated to 10% of light speed. It hit the third bioship like the fist of an angry god. The impact tore completely through the organic vessel. The bioship broke in half, spilling its crew into the vacuum of space. The Vex inside died quickly, their bodies not designed for the cold of space. The last two bioships tried a desperate attack. They charged directly at the human fleet, all their bioweapons firing. Streams of acid and clouds of poisonous gas filled the space between the fleets. Captain Tony Lee, commanding the destroyer Apocalypse, laughed as he watched the attack. "They think they can scare us with acid and poison? We come from a world where the air itself tries to kill you." The human ships did not even slow down. Their armor was designed to survive nuclear war. A little alien acid was not going to stop them. The fifth bioship launched a swarm of smaller creatures. They looked like flying insects the size of fighter jets, with razor-sharp claws and the ability to cut through metal hull plates. Dr. Helen Ross, monitoring from the Liberty, was fascinated. Remarkable adaptation. They created specialized attack forms in less than an hour. But they made one mistake. "What mistake?" asked Admiral Grant. "They assumed we would fight like the Kalari. They built these creatures to fight individual ships in close combat. They did not expect us to use area effect weapons." Captain Karen Bell, commanding the frigate Nemesis, proved the doctor right. Her ship launched a single fusion warhead into the middle of the Vex swarm. The explosion vaporized hundreds of the biofighters at once. The last bioship was alone now. It tried to run, using biological engines that pushed it toward the edge of the system. But human ships were faster. They surrounded it like wolves surrounding a wounded deer. "Should we try to capture it for study?" asked Dr. Ross. "Negative," Admiral Grant replied. "These things have killed billions of people. They do not deserve mercy." The human fleet concentrated all their firepower on the final bioship. Nuclear missiles, kinetic weapons, and high-explosive torpedoes hit it from every direction. The Vex vessel tried desperately to adapt, growing thicker armor and new defensive structures. It was not enough. The bioship died under the concentrated assault, its organic hull breaking apart under the terrible firepower of human weapons. The battle was over in less than 6 hours. 5 massive Vex bioships, each one capable of destroying entire civilizations, had been completely eliminated. Not one human ship had been seriously damaged. Captain Morrison, who had been observing from a safe distance, opened communication with all the human ships. "Outstanding work, everyone. The galaxy needed to see what happens when predators fight back." Admiral Grant looked at the debris field that had once been a Vex fleet. "Send a message to the Galactic Council. Tell them the Theta system is secure. Tell them the Vex are not unstoppable." Word of the victory spread quickly through Kalari space. For the first time in years, people dared to hope. The unstoppable Vex swarm had been stopped. The nightmares that consumed worlds had been destroyed by aliens from a distant death world. But Admiral Grant knew this was only the beginning. The Vex would adapt to human tactics. They would come back stronger and smarter. The real war was just starting. On Kalari Prime, Ambassador Zethra watched the battle recordings with amazement and growing fear. The humans had destroyed 5 bioships without breaking a sweat. They fought with a cold efficiency that terrified even their allies. "They are not like us," she said to General Veltar. "They do not fight to defend. They fight to kill. They fight like the Vex, but worse. Should we be concerned?" Veltar asked. Zethra thought about the human ships, dark and angular like flying weapons. She thought about their soldiers, who smiled when they talked about war. She thought about a species that had learned to hunt everything on their deadly world. "Yes," she said quietly. "We should be very concerned, but right now they are killing our enemies. Let us hope they continue to see us as friends." The Vex swarm had terrorized the galaxy for decades. Now they had met their match. The question was whether the cure would prove worse than the disease. The Vex response was swift and terrible. Within days of the Theta System massacre, 3 entire hive fleets changed direction. They abandoned their attacks on Kalari worlds and turned toward human space. The message was clear. A new apex predator had entered their territory, and it had to be destroyed. Dr. Helen Ross studied the intelligence reports from her laboratory on Luna Base. The data was frightening. Each hive fleet contained over 200 bioships. The Vex had committed nearly a third of their total forces to destroying humanity. They are treating us as a rival predator species, she explained to Admiral Grant over the video link. This behavior is unprecedented. They have never diverted this much force against a single enemy before. How long before they reach our outer colonies? Grant asked. 2 weeks, maybe 3. Admiral, they are not coming to raid or probe our defenses. They are coming to wipe us out completely. Grant closed the connection and turned to her staff officers. The Situation Room on Earth was full of humanity's best military minds. They had 2 weeks to prepare for the largest battle in human history. Options? Grant asked. General Bob Carter, head of Colonial Defense, spoke first. We evacuate the outer colonies, pull back to the inner system, and make our stand at Mars. Absolutely not, interrupted Admiral Pete Wilson, commander of the Third Fleet. If we give up territory without fighting, we look weak. The galaxy is watching. We need to show them that humans do not run. Captain Jake Morrison, recently promoted to strategic planning, disagreed with both men. The Vex expect us to either run or form defensive lines like the Kalari did. I say we do neither. Explain, Grant ordered. Morrison activated the holographic display. It showed human space and the approaching Vex fleets. The Vex are coming. At us in 3 groups. Each group expects to overwhelm our defenses through superior numbers, but they are thinking like a hive mind. They assume we will respond predictably. What do you suggest? Hit-and-run tactics, mobility, unpredictability. Make every engagement different. Never let them adapt to our strategies because we never use the same strategy twice. Grant considered this. It would be risky. We would be outnumbered in every battle. We have advantages they do not know about, Morrison replied. Our ships are faster. Our weapons are more varied. Most importantly, each of our captains can make independent decisions. The Vex rely on central coordination. The first test came at the Ceres mining station. Captain Joe Harris commanded the defense with only 6 destroyers against 40 Vex bioships. The odds were hopeless by any conventional measure. But Harris was not fighting a conventional battle. He had spent the past week studying Vex psychology and behavior patterns. He knew they expected him to either run or make a defensive stand. Instead, he did something completely unexpected. Harris scattered his ships throughout the asteroid belt, around Ceres. Each ship was disguised as a mining platform. When the Vex fleet arrived, they saw only what appeared to be abandoned industrial equipment. The bioships moved into the asteroid field to begin their consumption process. They extended organic tubes to drain minerals from the rocks. It was exactly what Harris had hoped they would do. All ships, Harris broadcast on a tight beam. Welcome to the funhouse. 6 human destroyers suddenly revealed themselves. But they were not in the positions the Vex expected. They were above, below, and behind the bioships. The Vex found themselves surrounded in a 3-dimensional maze of asteroids and hidden enemies. The battle was chaos. Harris's ships darted between asteroids, firing missiles and disappearing before the Vex could respond. The bioships tried to coordinate their defense, but the asteroid field broke up their formations. They are adapting faster than we expected, reported Lieutenant Sarah Kim from the destroyer Hellfire. Their bio-armor is already deflecting our standard missiles. Switch to penetrator rounds, Harris ordered. Target their sensor clusters. First, then their engines. The penetrator rounds were solid tungsten spikes designed to punch through armor rather than explode. The Vex bio-armor, which had adapted to absorb explosive energy, could not stop simple kinetic projectiles moving at high speed. Blind and crippled, the Vex bioships became sitting targets. Harris's destroyers picked them off one by one, darting in to deliver killing shots before vanishing back into the asteroid field. The battle lasted 18 hours. When it was over, 37 Vex bioships were destroyed. 3 escaped, badly damaged. Harris had lost 1 destroyer and suffered moderate damage to 2 others, but the most important victory was psychological. The Vex had expected an easy win against a small human force. Instead, they had been outmaneuvered and destroyed by an enemy that refused to fight by their rules. The second major engagement happened at Jupiter. Captain Kelly Wright commanded the battleship Retribution and 8 supporting vessels. The Vex came at her with over 60 bioships, confident that superior numbers would guarantee victory. Wright had other ideas. The Vex learn from every battle, she explained to her officers. They adapt to our tactics within hours. So we will not use tactics, we will use pure chaos. Wright's strategy was simple. Every ship would act independently. No formations, no coordinated attacks, no predictable patterns. Each captain was free to engage the enemy however they thought best. The result was the most confused battle in military history. Human ships attacked from random directions using completely different weapons and tactics. Some used missiles, others used kinetic weapons. A few even rammed bioships directly. The Vex hive mind could not adapt to chaos. Every time they developed a defense against one type of attack, another human ship would hit them with something completely different. Their biological advantage of rapid adaptation became useless against enemies who never did the same thing twice. Captain Lisa Park, commanding the cruiser Defiance, discovered that Vex bioships were vulnerable to sonic attacks. She broadcast high-frequency sounds that disrupted their nervous systems. Captain Dan Foster on the destroyer Vengeance found that the bioships could not handle rapid temperature changes. He alternated between flame weapons and liquid nitrogen sprays. Captain Alex Rodriguez, commanding the frigate Nemesis, decided to test whether bioships could survive in the crushing gravity of Jupiter's atmosphere. He used tractor beams to drag damaged Vex vessels into the gas giant's upper atmosphere. The Vex fleet was destroyed in 12 hours of complete mayhem. The survivors fled in all directions, their hive mind unable to process what had happened to them. News of the victories spread throughout human space. The colonies that had expected to die were celebrating instead. Humanity had faced the unstoppable Vex swarm and won, but Admiral Grant was not celebrating. She studied the battle reports with growing concern. They are learning, she told her staff. Look at these adaptation patterns. The Vex that escaped from Ceres shared their data with the fleet at Jupiter. The ones that escaped from Jupiter will share their data with the next group. So we keep changing our tactics, suggested General Carter. That may not be enough, Grant replied. The Vex reproduce quickly. They can replace losses faster than we can, and each new generation will be better adapted to fight humans. Captain, Morrison had been studying long-term strategic projections. Admiral, we cannot win a defensive war against the Vex. They have too many ships and too many worlds producing more ships. If we want to defeat them permanently, we need to take the war to them. You are talking about attacking their home territory, Grant said. We do not even know where that is. Then we find it, Morrison replied. We hunt them back to their source. We do what no other species has been willing to do. We make them extinct. The room was quiet. Everyone understood what Morrison was suggesting. It was not enough to defeat the Vex. Humanity would have to destroy them completely. The galaxy will never accept that, Admiral Wilson said. Complete genocide of a sentient species? The Galactic Council would turn against us. The Galactic Council was ready to let the Vex eat everyone rather than fight back, Grant said coldly. I am more concerned with protecting human lives than alien opinions. Dr. Ross appeared on the screen from Luna Base. Admiral, I have been studying Vex biology. They are not like other species. They cannot coexist with anyone. They exist only to consume and reproduce. Trying to make peace with them would be like trying to negotiate with a forest fire. Grant made her decision. Begin deep space reconnaissance. Find their home worlds. Find their shipyards. Find their queens. We are going to end this war permanently. The Vex had come to destroy humanity. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous than themselves. They had provoked a species that specialized in making other species extinct. The hunt was about to begin. Agent Paul Martinez had spent 6 months in deep space, following Vex supply lines back to their source. His stealth ship was specially designed to avoid detection. It looked like space debris from the outside, but inside it carried the most advanced sensors humanity had ever built. What he found changed everything. Admiral Grant, Martinez reported from the edge of Vex space. I have located their home system. You need to see this. The data transmission took 3 days to reach Earth. When Admiral Grant saw the images, she understood why the Vex had been so successful. Their home system contained 7 planets, each one completely covered in biofactories. Millions of bioships floated in orbital shipyards. The entire system was a weapon designed to consume galaxies. How many ships are we looking at? Asked Colonel Rick Stone. Conservative estimate. Over 10,000 bioships in various stages of construction. The Vex we have been fighting are just a scouting force. This is their main fleet. General Bob Carter whistled softly. We cannot fight those numbers with conventional tactics. We are not going to fight them, Grant replied. We are going to kill them. All of them. Forever. The plan that emerged was the most ambitious military operation in human history. Every available warship would participate. Every weapon in the human arsenal would be used. The goal was not victory, but complete extinction. Captain Steve Miller was chosen to lead the assault fleet aboard the dreadnought Apocalypse. The ship was humanity's newest and most powerful warship, armed with weapons that could crack moons. Around it, 300 human vessels prepared for the final battle. This is not about conquest, Miller explained to his crew. This is not about territory or resources. This is about making sure that the Vex never threaten anyone ever again. Today, we become the galaxy's exterminators. The human fleet jumped to hyperspace in waves. They appeared at the edge of the Vex home system like an avenging army. The Vex defenders responded quickly, but they had never seen a fleet this large, or this determined. The first wave of attacks targeted the orbital shipyards. Captain Amy Chen, now commanding the heavy cruiser Vengeance, led 12 destroyers in a high-speed assault on the construction facilities. Target the Queen Chambers first, Chen ordered. No new Vex get born today. The Vex tried to defend their shipyards with swarms of fighter organisms, but the human ships were ready. They launched clouds of self-guided missiles that hunted down individual targets. Each missile was designed to recognize Vex biology and destroy it on contact. The shipyards burned. Millions of unborn Vex died in their growth chambers. The biofactories that had produced weapons for conquering galaxies became funeral pyres. Meanwhile, Captain Janet Foster led the second wave against the primary hive world. Her battleship Retribution carried the most powerful weapon humanity had ever built, a planet-killer missile with a fusion warhead the size of a building. The surface of that world is covered with Vex breeding facilities, Foster announced to her crew. We are going to sterilize it completely. The planet-killer missile burrowed deep into the hive world's crust before detonating. The explosion was visible from orbit as continents cracked and oceans boiled away. The Vex homeworld died in fire, taking billions of their species with it, but the humans were not finished. Dr. Helen Ross had spent months developing biological weapons specifically designed to target Vex genetics. Commander Tony Lee, aboard the science vessel Nemesis, began deploying these weapons throughout the system. Ross's virus is airborne and highly contagious among Vex organisms, Lee reported. Any Vex that survive the bombardment will die within days from biological collapse. The virus worked exactly as designed. Vex bioships began dying even as they tried to fight back. Their organic hulls rotted away. Their crews suffocated as their breathing systems failed. The weapon that had consumed 47 civilizations was itself being consumed. The battle lasted 3 days. When it was over, the Vex home system was a graveyard. 7 dead planets orbited a star dimmed by the smoke of burning worlds. The most dangerous species in the galaxy had been wiped out completely, but Admiral Grant was still not satisfied. Begin Phase 2, she ordered. Phase 2 was the hunter-killer operation. Human fleets spread out across known space, seeking any remaining Vex forces. Every Vex outpost was destroyed. Every bioship was hunted down and killed. Every world that had been infested with Vex organisms was sterilized. Captain Kelly Wright led a task force to the Vex research stations. These facilities had been working on new weapons and adaptation techniques. Wright's orders were simple: destroy everything and everyone. "Ma'am," reported her tactical officer, "we are detecting Vex scientists and researchers in the facilities. Some of them may have valuable information." "Negative," Wright replied. "No prisoners. No exceptions. These creatures had their chance to coexist peacefully. They chose genocide instead. The research stations were vaporized with nuclear weapons. Centuries of Vex scientific development disappeared in minutes. Captain Dan Rodriguez hunted down the Vex scout fleets that were still operating in distant systems. His fast attack group used hit-and-run tactics to destroy the scattered bioships before they could escape or call for help. This is the last confirmed Vex presence in Sector 7, Rodriguez reported after destroying a small scouting force. All contacts eliminated. The extermination campaign took 2 years. When it was finished, the Vex swarm no longer existed. Not defeated, not scattered, not hiding in distant corners of space. Extinct. Gone. Dead forever. The galaxy's reaction was mixed. Ambassador Zethra arrived at Earth for the victory celebration, but she seemed troubled. The elegant Kalari delegation looked uncomfortable as they toured the human fleet. "We asked for your help," Zethra said to Admiral Grant during the ceremony. "We hoped you would drive the Vex away from our worlds. We never imagined you would eliminate them entirely." "You said your species was facing extinction," Grant replied. "We took that seriously. But the Vex were a sentient species. They had rights regardless of their actions." Grant's expression was cold as space. "Ambassador, the Vex consumed 47 civilizations. They turned entire species into food. They had no interest in rights when they were committing genocide. Why should we show them mercy they never showed anyone else? Because that is what separates civilized species from monsters," Zethra said quietly. "No," Grant said firmly. "What separates civilized species from monsters is the willingness to protect the innocent by destroying the guilty. The Vex chose to be monsters. We chose to stop them permanently." The other Galactic Council members were equally disturbed. They had asked for help against a threat, but they had not expected their saviors to be so thorough. The humans had solved the Vex problem by making the Vex extinct. "What happens next?" asked Ambassador Talvin of the tree-like Xylorians. "Now that you have demonstrated your military capabilities, how do we know you will not turn those weapons against us?" Captain Morrison, now promoted to Diplomatic Corps, answered for humanity. "We fight to protect ourselves and our friends. The Vex threatened us, so we destroyed them. As long as you remain peaceful toward humanity, you have nothing to fear from us. And if we are not peaceful?" Morrison's smile was not reassuring. "Then you will join the Vex in extinction. We do not believe in half measures when it comes to threats against human survival." The celebration continued, but the mood had changed. The galaxy was safe from the Vex, but now they understood what humanity was capable of when motivated. The friendly neighbors from the distant Deathworld had revealed their true nature. They were apex predators who had learned to use spaceships and nuclear weapons. As the delegates departed, Admiral Grant stood on the observation deck of her flagship, looking out at the stars. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, but it was also full of potential threats. "Admiral," asked Captain Morrison, "do you think we went too far? Some people are saying we should have tried negotiation or containment instead of complete extermination." Grant was quiet for a long moment. "Jake, the Vex spent millions of years perfecting the art of genocide. They consumed entire civilizations for food. They turned planets into graveyards. When something like that threatens humanity, there is only one acceptable response. Which is, make sure it never threatens anyone ever again." Morrison nodded. He had seen the recordings from Vex attacks. He had watched entire species disappear into the mouths of bioships. The galaxy was better without the Vex, regardless of what the philosophers said. "What do we do now?" he asked. "We explore. We build. We make friends with peaceful species and trade with them. We help them solve problems and share our technology." Grant paused. "And we watch for the next threat. Because there will always be another threat. And when we find it?" Grant's smile was cold as space. "Then we remind the galaxy why they should be very polite to Deathworlders. The Vex were gone. The galaxy was safe. But everyone now understood the price of that safety. Humanity had answered the call for help with fire and vengeance. They had saved everyone by becoming the thing that monsters feared in the dark. The galaxy was a much more polite place after that.